Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another night of Quick Finishers Racing here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I am trying to get everything situated here. Don't know what's going on. Hang on one second. I noticed it's a little bit small, and I don't know why. Alright, so now that should do it. Y'all should be able to see everything going on. Got everything out here and going. Go ahead and head on down to the track. I did a little introductory video. Hopefully y'all saw it. I don't know if y'all could be able to hear it or not, but hopefully you got to see it. That is the QFRL's racing intro that I created today from the past couple races over the summer and everything. Tonight we will be heading to the Indianapolis, and we're going to be doing the QFRL Indianapolis 250 because we're doing 100 laps on the track tonight. There is no, how do I want it? There's a lot of stuff going on in the QFRL. We're getting ready. It is week 11. So we are changing a few things around. We're going to be having stage breaks. Tonight's stage break will be at lap 30 and lap 60. Provided no cautions come out within a lap or two before that. What that means is at lap 28, the pit road will be closed. Nobody will be allowed to enter pit road at lap 28. And at lap 30, the caution will be thrown by an admin. Everybody will be allowed to come around, go into the pits, get a new set of tires, get fresh, a full tank of gas. The gas tonight is at 85%. So we're going to be watching, and these cars do not have an Indianapolis set. Well, they do have an Indianapolis setup, but some of the drivers were complaining that they're blowing their engines in the front stretch and the back stretch. So they're running with a Pocono setup to be able to run around the track as fast as possible. With that being said, though, the tire wear is going to be a whole lot different for these cars. So we're going to see some of these guys going into the corners a little bit hotter than they normally should. We're also going to have 5 sets of tires around, or not around, but behind the wall. So each one of the drivers will have 5 sets of tires behind the wall. They will have one faster pair, just like every other race. At lap 30, we will throw the stage brake. At lap 60, we will throw the stage brake. Oh, sorry, that loud noise is me setting a drink cup down. So, the stage brake, the driver in 1st through 10th will get stage points. Reason we're doing this is because in about 4 weeks, we're going to be going into the playoffs. So we have a lot of drivers here tonight who will be trying to make it to the playoffs and be in the top 12, then the top 8, top 4, and so on and so forth. So let's take a look, see where the point standings are right now. And there they are. Our current point standing leader is Larry Stubblefield. He has 310 points starting this week, going into this race. James Nelson is in 2nd place with 298 points. Tyrone Yo is in 3rd place with 291. Then Kenneth Pack has 277. Curtis Sobran has 276. Gregory Smokey Robinson has 268. Justin Smith has 266. 267. Tommy Osborne has 262. Colton Lamford has 257. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then rounding out the top 10 would be Benjamin Campbell with 176. Jim Hubble has 175. James Bowden has 110. Radanovic has 84. Let me double check, make sure. I gotta make sure. No, 68. The 84 belongs to me, but I'm not racing. John Anthony has 57. Brandon Barrier's coming into the league 2 races. He has 53 points. Adrian Schumacher has 51 points. James Allen has 29 points. And Jacob Kaplan has 26 points. That rounds out all the drivers that we have. So, like I said, at the stage breaks, 1 through 10 will be receiving stage points. They will get 10 points for 1st place, 1 point for 10th place. So do the math. It's basically a backwards count on that one there for you. So we're at wonderful Indianapolis tonight, doing 100 laps on this 2.5 mile track. We have currently 8 drivers doing practice and everything. Some of the other drivers will be coming in a little bit later, joining at the last few minutes. Everybody's favorites are out on the track right about now. We're also going to be looking at some of the gentlemen who will be coming around. It looks like pretty much everybody except for Brandon Barrier is running for the state, basically running for the playoffs right now. So, depending on how well Brandon Barrier does, though, he could possibly get into the playoffs due to participation, not due to lack of participation. So, we have some gentlemen that haven't raced in a while, and it's starting to show as we get down to the last of the series. Now, one of the things with these cars, the Indianapolis setup that we had, the cars were redlining along the front stretch and the back stretch because they were overheat or getting too fast, and even in fifth gear they were getting all the way up there, and if you got into a draft with anybody, then you were about to blow your engine. So we went with Pocono so that the guys could be able to draft and still not over rev the engine too bad. But the trade-off to that is these cars are going to be loose coming out of the turns and everything. So each one of these turns is going to be a lot more interesting tonight. If these drivers don't get in enough practice, they could be winding up rubbing that outside wall a whole lot more tonight than they have in the past couple of series. We're going to go ahead and take a weather report, see what the race information says for us tonight. I had the weather here just a second ago, and now it's left me. Let me go ahead and hide this. All right, so it's currently 78 degrees Fahrenheit with 56% chance or 55% chance of rain. Actually, that's the humidity is 55. It's partly cloudy, and we have winds at 2 miles per hour. That seems to always be, the wind is about 2 miles per hour. Track temperature is 108 degrees right now. So it's going to be an interesting race, definitely tonight. That track is going to start heating up here in a little bit. We'll be seeing how each of the drivers are doing. Now, one of the things you notice is pit road. Getting in and out of pit road is going to be very tricky with these cars being so loose and everything. Coming out of turn 4, they're going to have to come into the pit road coming out of 4, and if they lose it too much, they're very loose. They're just going to be spinning like tops right there at the front of pit road entry. So hopefully we have a good race. Even though this is a 2.5 mile plate racetrack, this is also going to, the cars are set up without plates right now. So we're going to see what happens tonight and who comes around. You see the cars that are coming out of the pit road, they have to go around through turns 1 and 2 to make it onto the pit road. So they're putting about a quarter mile on the track before they can get onto the track. They're doing a quarter mile just to be able to come out of pit road. That gives them plenty of time to be able to get up to speed and everything. But if they're not careful on those fresh tires going into turn 2, they could wind up drifting out of the pit lane and hitting the grass. And with brand new tires, slicks like that, you could see some of these guys going around like tops and everything. Now, there is a service exit at the back of turn. Here, let's just go ahead and take a look. It's not letting me do it. Why ain't it letting me? Come on. There we go. So we're going to go and enter the drone here just for a few minutes. You see Tommy Osborne sitting on the backstretch there. I guess he decided he's going to check his stuff out. So we're going to take the drone and we're going to go around the track starting from the pits. As we go through, go back and around the track, we have this big open area here. The cars can be able to get up to 200 miles an hour, maybe top out around about 210. The cars usually, these drivers usually go about 180 miles an hour. But with a good draft, they'll get up to about 210. Right about here is where we're going to start watching. Oops. We're going to start watching as the drivers start kind of slowing down just a little bit to prepare to go into turn 3 here. Now, the most common area that these guys want to be is right up against this white line in turn 3 here. Let me back out, just get the drone out just a little bit. You'll see they're trying to cut as close to the white line in this concrete divider right here. But if a car has any trouble, they have this service access road here to be able to go down and stay out of the way of everybody else out on the track. This service access road is part of the road course here at Indianapolis, but it also gives them the chance to be able to stay out of the other driver's way and everything. Now, turn 4, as you saw James Nelson going through there, turn 4 is just like turn 3. It is 90 degrees, and they want to be entering turn 4 a little bit closer to that concrete area coming out of turn 2. Now, one of the bigger problems that a lot of cars have seen is this area right here where the safety wall is. Up against this fence here, you see the cars coming right through, and they get as close as possible to the wall here, so that when they come around this corner, they want to be able to get as close to this wall and line up to be able to enter into turn 4. Let's take a look as we watch Jamie Mullins. Jamie Mullins just went by at like Mach 2, it felt like. See, these cars are getting as close to this wall as possible coming out of turn 3, and you can see the walls right here. Some of these guys will wind up in that wall as the tire wear wears off. And as I say that, there goes Curtis Sobran. He just loses control of it and he didn't hit the wall, but he bounced all over the area here. So we'll move up here to turn 3, and I'll show, or turn 4, my bad. And I hear one coming. It's Jamie Mullins. And there's Larry Stubblefield right behind him. So these guys are trying to get in as best as they can. We got up into the bleachers there just for a second. We'll keep the drone going around. Now this is where the fun is going to be. Trying to do pit stops under green is where a lot of people, the area is very, very small for pit entry. They have to come down and come from roughly 180 miles an hour out of this corner, and they're going to have to be at 60 miles an hour by the time they get to the pit road entrance. The pit road entrance is right where this yellow cone is. When they get to this part right here behind this wall, they have to be at 60 miles per hour. This is pit road speed right here. And yes, it looks like they have a long way to go, but we're looking through the drone, not through a cockpit. So they have to be on this side of the white line and making the commitment right in this area here to make pit road. Now, a lot of guys will probably do some faking and psych out their opponents and stuff by waiting till the last second. But when you get to this area right here, you're committed. You are committed to pit lane, and there is nowhere else for you to go once you get to the double white line area here. Now, this is the long front stretch. And there's the timing tower, but pit road is going to be long as all get out for these drivers. At 60 miles an hour, with all the cars flying by them, they are going to feel like they are standing still. Before they can get to that green cone, these drivers are going to feel like they have been driving Little Miss Daisy forever and a day. There's the 66. There's the 2's pit stall currently. There's the 1, the 54, the number 3, the 85, the 82, the 75, and the 27's pit stalls. That gives us 9 drivers that are here currently right now. As we fly around and take a look at the stadium, which seems to be very packed tonight for tonight's race. Again, these drivers, they have roughly a quarter mile to go on before they can even get onto the track. Now let's see. We have different views from the camera tonight. We'll look at views from the blimp. We'll be looking at the views from the driver's cockpits. We also have the gyro so that you can see the rear view mirror but don't see everything going on inside. But from inside the cockpit, we are riding with James Nelson right now, who has the fastest time on the track at 53:22. So 2.5 miles at 53 seconds. That's moving pretty good. I would say he's probably doing about 180 miles an hour, I think. You can see the RPMs inside his car as he slowly gets cut off by Ben Campbell. He's using Ben to draft with, and Ben's not too happy with it considering he just came out of the pits. The bumper, there is not very much distance between the front end of James Nelson's car and the back end of Ben Campbell right now. And we just watched Ben Campbell nearly kill himself. Trying to slow down for that pit stall. Let's take a look, see what happened there. Back her up. Now, if you've got a driver right behind you like Ben does right now, and you're not used to it, trying to slow down to get to pit speed limit can cost you. I don't think Ben was trying to go into the pits, but he wound up getting there anyway. So let's take a look at some of our drivers tonight, see who all's out on the field. Currently, we have Ben Campbell. Ben Campbell's from Hickory, North Carolina. He'll be driving the black and color 27 Ford Shelby. Next, we have James Babyface Nelson, hometown Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, I believe it is. He's driving the black and color 75. And I'm going to pull up something I noticed about his car. He's driving the black and color yellow, or black and color green Superman car for Crutchfield Nation. Then we have Larry Stubblefield in the night sewing, or owl sewing? No, hold on. It's owls, I believe. I gotta look at the side of his car. They're getting ready to do a pit party, so. Yeah, Night Owl Sewing. I thought it was Night Owl Sewing. He's in the number 82. Tommy Osborne out of East Lynn, West Virginia is in the number 1 Night Owl Sewing. His is black and blue. Go ahead and get you a good look at the front end of his car. Next we have Curtis SUV Sovereign in the Monster 54 Toyota. Jamie Mullins in the United We Stand, Divided We Fall Chevy Camaro 66 out of Piney Flats, Tennessee. Then we have Brendan Barrier in the Quick Tie. What is he driving? Quick Tie 85. And I'm going to hide his car for just a second so you can see what he looks like. Sounds like he's about to blow that Camaro up. We've seen Ben Campbell. Now let's see where Tyrone Yo is. Alexa, stop. I don't see Tyrone's car just yet. It might be because he's still in the pits. Nope, there he is. Tyrone is driving the Battlefield Harley Davidson out of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The number 2. And then Gregory Smokey Robinson is just jumped in, but his car has not loaded yet. He'll be in the number 3 Chevrolet. Looks like it'll be a good wrench car tonight. And that will be all 9 of our drivers. We're just waiting on Tyrone or Gregory Robinson to finish loading in. You see them side by side entering into the corner, getting used to everything, trying to wear those tires in. So with this being a 2.5 mile lap, 2.5 miles per lap, we're probably going to see around about 15 to 20 laps before the guys start braking for their pit stops. However, since we're stopping at lap 30, some of these drivers may try and push it to lap 30 on one set of tires, and that's going to be interesting with the way that they drive. As you can see, there goes the 75 and the 85. Brandon Barrier and James Nelson just got into each other. Let's go and take a look, see what happened. What brought that out? I'm going to click on James Nelson and back up because we don't have the replay abilities. Well, we have the replay ability, and I'm going to change the camera around. Oh, so it looked like, from my point of view, it looks like Brandon Barrier is trying to block James Nelson from going around him in the front stretch, and in doing so, he comes down, cuts the nose off. Yep, he comes down, cuts the nose off, and James just sends him around, which is not a very good thing, but it costs both of them. So we may have a few people wrecking tonight. Hopefully it will be a good clean race. We do have 100 laps. That's 250 miles, 5 sets of tires. That would be every 20 laps they could be able to go in and get a set of tires and still have one set, or every 25 laps they could stop, get a set of tires, and they would still have one set of tires for just in case of an accident or something of that sort. Now, like I've said in the past, these gentlemen do have a quick repair. The quick repair only repairs the vehicle's body. It does not repair, as we watch Curtis Sauber go flying into the pit wall there. The quick repair repairs the vehicle's body. Any damage that is done to that vehicle will repair the front fender, the whatever is wrong with it, it will be fixed. It does not replace the tires or refill the gas tank. The driver will have to make sure that they do that themselves. The other thing is, when they come into the pits, they have to tell their crew chief when they want to use that fast repair. Now, some of these drivers have it set up to where they automatically have the fast repair checked, and so the first time that they come into the pits, it's automatically going to repair that vehicle as long as that fast repair is checked. If there's no damage to that car, they've wasted that fast repair. That is something that they have to understand. They have to reset it themselves. They have to set it up and check it for them, or have their crew chief check it. So there is a new option called auto refuel. And what that does is the crew chief determines how much gas he thinks the car needs to finish the race. If they have that set up, that gives them exactly that many laps of fuel left inside the vehicle. When they go around the track, if there's a caution at any time that comes out during that time around and they do not pit, then those caution laps will go against their fuel, and it takes away from their fuel amount, which means they can run out of gas on the backstretch. So these gentlemen have to be very, very careful whenever they're using pit strategies. They can also come in and do a quick pit, which means that they can come in and get fuel only, or they can get tires on one side only. However, they have to get tires on one side. Both sets have to be replaced. So the front and the back of the right side have to be replaced, or the front and the back of the left side, or they can have all four tires replaced at any given time. Now, if we were running an open setup, they could also have their height adjustments and stuff like that done, but because this is a fixed league, we don't have to worry about that. We're going to watch as these guys drive around, and we're going to go into the exciting camera view so that we stay up with all the excitement on the track. Wherever the battles are on the track, that's what we will see. And I thought I went live, but I guess I didn't. Okay, there we go. Now you see some of these cars getting squirrely. It's because that back end is very loose coming out. And there you go. You see Ben Campbell eat that outside wall. He corrected as he was coming out of turn 2, and it caused him to go into that outside wall. Now you see James Nelson. He just pushed Brandon Barrier. Oh, I'm wondering if there's some kind of issue between James Nelson and Brendan Barrier tonight, or if that's just because they're in practice for the next 38 minutes. I don't know. We will find out. You watched in the background as Ben Campbell, coming out of 4, goes eating up the entry to the pit road. So these drivers have to be careful as they go through, because even though the car can turn at 180 miles an hour in these corners, that doesn't mean it's good for the car. 180 miles an hour, yeah, that's pretty fast. And to make these turns seems pretty simple. However, all that force is making that car want to go to the outside wall, and it's putting all that weight on the right side tires. So when they level out, that left side tire now has a grip, and it's going to cause that car to spin depending on how much wear and tear and how much heat is on those tires. You see him 3-4 wide coming out of the corner there, and Jamie Mullins just turns Tommy Osborne to the inside pit wall. he got wrapped up in it himself just a little bit. All right, so I'm going to take a second and go check in on the guys and see how they're doing. Let's see what the drivers have to say. Join in the broadcast, gentlemen.
God almighty. I did not expect you to do that.
Whoa.
I did not expect you to shoot that gap there, Brandon.
Yeah.
He shot it all right.
Yeah, he did.
So, gentlemen,
Where?
how's this Pocono setup working for you here in Indianapolis?
Awful.
Well, some of yuns like it and some of yuns don't.
I'm a don't yuns.
You ain't caring for it there, Larry?
No, it's all right. It's loose at the beginning, loose at the end. I mean, it can't be much worse. At least it ain't pushing.
We could say it could be tight all the way around. That's a lot worse.
Have y'all been practicing any green lap pit stops?
Yeah.
Okay, hitting each other and then towing to the pits doesn't count.
He just burned your ass.
We are just getting the aggression out of the way before the race starts.
The line's pretty deep down there on the pit road.
Yeah. Backup car inspection line's about an hour and a half long right now.
Some of yous aren't even in the backup car. Y'all are in the car from the next 4 weeks out. So, I mean, I'm watching Curtis do donuts in the front stretch and kill the inside wall with Tyrone. Oh my God!
He tried to get me. He missed.
I was losing it. And I was like, well, might as well just get James.
Take somebody with you. Oh, we have 10 people in the race tonight. Colton Lanford has just joined. So,
God, James, that was so close. I almost had you.
almost only
Never
counts
even
in
had your
horseshoe.
car.
Boom.
There's a Paul Walker line if I've heard one. You still loose, Ben?
God, you man.
Do it.
You still loose?
Oh, yeah.
Ben, you might want to run. No mirror driving, Ben Campbell. Is he even in here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's focused.
He's staying
Driving that
focused.
loose forward.
So, we've heard Larry say he doesn't like it.
I don't like it. It's awful.
I'm
Tyrone
not
ain't.
gonna rear end you.
What about... Oh, y'all haven't even seen Colton out here yet.
He just got out.
Yeah, I know. He's still loading in right now.
What? I'm right here. I'm
Oh.
on track.
I'm not flat foot, Ben, until the car's going straight on the straightaway.
Oh, I was flat foot halfway through the corner.
I'm just barely on the throttle, on wide open right. Oh, never mind.
I take it you ain't wide open no more.
Didn't get to wide open.
Oh, wow. So close. That was so... Damn it.
Oh! I went right back
How
to
close
you on
was
that. A little bit closer than that.
Oh, God. Sorry.
My bad, Jamie.
I had nowhere to go.
I couldn't save it.
Oh, it's going to be a long, interesting night tonight. 100 laps. At lap 28, the track is going to be interesting.
Why?
Because that's when the pit road shuts down.
It is.
Yep. Lap 28 and then lap 58.
What, you think people are going to try to short pit?
Knowing y'all, yeah.
I did it races ago, and it did not work out well for
How
me.
long is a lap? 53 seconds? There's only so much you can be behind without going a lap down.
Yeah.
You gotta really pay attention. If you're not in the top 3 or 4 within just a couple of seconds of the leader, you're gonna go a lap down. Might not have to be that close, but I wouldn't want to try to do that math. But if you're leading, that's what I'd do.
So
But
weird.
I also want those stage points.
Yep. Because it's 10 points for the leader.
Wrong answer.
There's 10 cars, so all of us would get points, so
Yep.
there's really nobody
15
going to be
points
out.
for the leader.
The leader's getting 15 and everybody else gets 9 down.
Yep.
That'll be a pissing match.
That's kind of the point.
And what's the first stage? 30?
30.
Lap 30 and then lap 60.
So
And it
30,
is
30,
at the
40.
beginning of lap 30 and the beginning of lap 60.
So once you go 59 to 60, caution.
Correct.
Okay.
When it turns to 58, I will close pit lane. Same with 28.
That's the way it's supposed to be. I like that. I'm going to complain just for
Because you're a complainer.
put some fame on it. It's not any fun if you're not complaining.
He
He wouldn't have said anything if I said, "Oh my gosh, amazing job." But if you complain, there you go. You get something out of it. Sell some T-shirts.
I did respond.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I gave you what you asked for.
Yeah.
Greg wasn't going to do it. I was going to do it.
Well, Greg's not here to do it, so
I know.
I didn't know Curtis was going to jump on it that fast, but hey, cool.
What?
I said I didn't know you were going to jump into stages as quick as I did.
Greg's drinking a fruity drink because he's a fruity guy.
Where'd you
So-
get that? You put that on the broadcast. Put on a cruise ship saying, "This son's a..."
them sons of bitches.
Well, I wasn't going to cuss, and then the host cussed it, so I guess I'll cuss now.
If he's on a boat, he's not.
Yeah, he's not
Screaming anything.
He's not watching this.
You don't think his old ass got the $200 Wi-Fi option?
I get the $200 Wi-Fi option. It doesn't work worth a shit.
No, it does not. Not out at sea, at all.
Yeah.
The
Now,
only
maybe
thing.
if
The,
he got the one with the Starlink.
the only thing that works out there is your email, and that's hit or miss.
You could probably bring your own Starlink. They wouldn't be able to say shit about it.
No, we did find that we could FaceTime home if you did it kind of when nobody else was really using it.
Yep, 3 o'clock.
Yeah,
No, I couldn't even do that.
we could do that. What company do you cruise with?
Pontoons are us.
No, I went with Norwegian Cruise Line.
Oh my
We've
god.
always done Royal Caribbean.
Okay.
I go to Carnival. I've been 8 times. I'm a gold member.
We've only
Yeah.
gone on like 4.
Oh, there's been.
Carnival's, some of their ships are old as hell and they suck. The last time I was on one, the TV was smaller than my phone.
And our sponsor for tonight is Carnival Cruise Line.
Me and my wife go on a cruise, but we don't know which one to go on.
So if
Royal's a really good one.
Royal Caribbean and Norwegian
are both
Cruise
good.
Line are both the better ones. Royal Caribbean has the bigger ships. Norwegian
Yeah.
has the more up-to-date ships.
you need to, no, they're all over the place is what I've come to realize, that they're all, if they're older ships, you're screwed. It ain't going to be fun. Half the
Right.
stuff ain't going to work.
Greg Barnett just checked into Midwood Steakhouse in Charlotte, North Carolina.
So he's eating steak instead of hanging out with his friends.
Yes, I commented under it and said you should be racing.
He must be on a date.
Must be.
Just
We should
call
all
him out.
tag. We should all
What's his
check
name?
in at that same restaurant.
It's kind of a drive for dinner though, because don't they live where Kenneth lives? They live what, 2.5 hours away from
He
Charlotte?
could be on his way to the cruise.
Yep.
It could be, yeah.
Flying out.
Yeah, but why would he go from an hour
With his
in
cruise.
in Charlotte to or an hour
Just fly out.
south of Charlotte to Charleston?
We ought to call that restaurant and pay for it.
He might not be leaving out of Charleston. He might be leaving somewhere else.
Yeah.
Call the restaurant, have them page him.
Yeah. You
What the hell
watch
you
him,
doing
you
there,
watch him
man?
labor. And it's just us.
When it's his birthday. Oh, that'd be funny.
Yep.
Who's got the number to the what was the restaurant's name?
Find it if you want me to call. If you want to.
What was the rest? Hold
Hang
on.
on. Midwood Steakhouse
Okay.
Midwood. That's a gay bar.
in Charlotte. Somebody please call that. place
Hold
and
on.
get Greg
Midwood
on the phone.
Steakhouse.
I want it
Midwood.
on. I want it on air too. I want to.
Yeah.
All right, hold on.
Here it is.
Mid.
Phone number?
I got Midwood Smokehouse.
704-295-4227.
It wasn't Smokehouse, it was Steakhouse. Yeah, Smokehouse, sorry. Smokehouse.
Midwood Smokehouse.
In Charlotte, right?
North- Yeah, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Well, there's two of them. Well, there's three of them. Which one?
Oh, they're wrecking big. Oh, man. Oh, that's Danica Patrick.
Danica Patrick.
Yeah.
Well, if he's near the Charlotte airport,
It's 540 Brandywine Road in Charlotte is the one he checked in at.
okay.
40. Okay. Here
Phone
you go.
number, ready? Phone number 1980.
Hold on. What's the area code?
That was it, Grandpa.
80 237.
My
Are y'all
phone's.
putting this all over the broadcast?
Yes.
Start again. Start again, Curtis. Well, no, my phone decided to lock up on me. Hold on.
Operator error.
All right, 980
980
237
237,
7929.
and it's Greg Barnett.
Yeah, but hold on. We gotta figure out what we're gonna do. What are you gonna do? Go in there and ask, hey, go yell at a guy that got no hair. What? How? Oh, he's already called. Oh.
It's his birthday.
You're not gonna call Greg. You're gonna call the fucking restaurant. They're not gonna have a clue.
Yes, ma'am. I understand that y'all have a Greg Barnett as a customer there, and we were trying to let y'all know it's his birthday tonight. Is there any way we can do something special for him?
I don't know who that is.
He's bald and he's alone.
Okay. I was gonna try and describe him to you, but he just checked in with you through Facebook, and we were trying to surprise him with a little bit of a birthday surprise also, because for his birthday, I guess he's taking his wife or his girlfriend out to the Bahamas.
Mark, that lady don't care.
And we were, a couple of us guys from his work were just messing with him and trying to get him a birthday surprise.
So we don't do anything really for birthdays. We don't sing or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
Or mistress.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, man.
No worries.
Over the
Thank you.
loudspeaker.
Attention, Kmart.
He said, I appreciate it, man. And it was a woman.
I said, ma'am.
Yeah, but you don't talk English.
I-
It is, ma'am.
His wife or girlfriend. What, I don't know who he's with tonight. Did anybody
I don't know. I don't know who he's with tonight, but
They don't do birthdays. Is that what they said?
yeah, they don't do anything for birthdays.
Bullshit.
Get with Applebee's.
You
This
should have
lady
made
ass,
plans.
I am not fucking with your dumb ass.
Yeah.
That lady was like, just shut up so I get off the phone.
Pretty much.
Like, I get paid $8 an hour and I gotta listen to this.
Friday night.
Hey, Tom, so check this out. This guy's calling about his buddy.
You should have said your husband was there, and you want to know if he was with a woman.
No, I ain't doing that one.
Okay, it's a law again.
I ain't doing that one.
I would have done it.
How
Well,
many viewers you got right now, Mark?
huh?
How many viewers you got right now?
One and it's Smokey.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say you're gonna have a ton of viewers calling that number.
But I mean, they could have found the number too. We found it.
Yep. It's on the internet.
Talking about that.
Somebody's watching it on Twitch.
Poop.
Nah, not Putin. All right. Y'all have 5 minutes left of the practice. I'm going to take that
should've
time. and-
Said something. We should have made a plan on what we were going to say. Winging it is, for future reference. Winging it is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Nah, man, that's how I live my life, bro. You just wing it.
So what? This incident stuff, when it says incident count 13x, and then none and no limit. So what's the point of the 13x?
Well, I mean, it's still iRacing will track your incident count regardless. It's whether or not we put a limit in the session. Like Tim likes to run about a 20x limit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then it's another way to help try to make you like race cleaner. Like sometimes they'll do no damage, but it'll keep the incident count.
Yeah.
So if you do mess up, it's not bad, but you're not inclined to just beat the crap out of each other. Because
But
you
I
can't.
mean, nothing's really gonna happen at 13x, right?
No,
You
there's
could run 300x tonight, nothing will happen.
Oh,
It-
I mean,
definitely-
you'll piss everybody off, but other than that,
No, I mean, I've seen it before to where it has like, 2x, whatever. Do y'all adjust that in the session?
we can adjust how many you get before you get a penalty and how many before you get disqualified. Other than that, we can't.
It definitely discourages track limits on road courses.
Yes, it does.
Old Danica just wrecked in the truck series and wrecked 2 people.
Don't ruin it.
Don't tell us.
Will you
don't tell
stop
us.
it? God damn it.
My bad.
Tell us something we don't know.
I didn't
I
know.
mean, I figured.
Danica is running a truck.
Yeah,
No,
You mean
I'm sure he's
Deegan?
talking about Haley.
I am. But she drives just like Danica.
Danica can't drive the fucking pace car, let alone the NASCAR truck.
It's because she's not dating Aaron Rodgers anymore.
No, she's
Cause he's
chasing
unvaxxed.
Williams now.
Or Ricky Stenhouse. Wasn't she dating Ricky Stenhouse?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ricky
she's-
Stenhouse, she was
Yeah.
dating him.
Yeah, when they were wrecking each other every other week.
I mean, just good
Fastest
makeup,
she's
but-
ever been is when she was hitting him in a door.
I thought you were about to say what she was dating him.
I think he used to wreck her to make her mad so he could have crazy sex that night.
Maybe she got concussion, she wouldn't remember the sex.
Makes it even better.
She's gonna age like milk.
Oh,
Yeah, she's already clobbered.
Bow-legged bitch.
think you're just mad because a woman got into NASCAR.
Yeah, I could have done that. Showed up and wrecked every damn night. I could have done that.
All right.
Get a vagina, say you're a woman, and go do it.
Yeah, I'd be the first tranny in NASCAR with a fucking beard.
Guys, that's going out over the air.
I don't care. I ain't gonna be in NASCAR. I ain't Kyle Larson. I can say what I want on the internet.
And on that note, all right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, just so you know, all comments made within the past few minutes have been those of the drivers themselves. And every individual is responsible for their own little sayings and stuff. Not everything is endorsed by the rest of the league. So each individual person was the one that made that little comment that was their own personal beliefs. As we're closing down to the last few seconds, actually the practice is over with, so now we are going into the qualifying. Getting ready to watch as each of the drivers come out and do their qualifying laps. Each driver will go around the track one time to warm the tire up. As soon as they come out of turn 4, they will get a green flag, and the green flag tells them to start their time. As soon as they cross the start finish line, they will have 2 laps to run the entire course as fast as they can, as safely as they can. If for any reason they lose control before the green lap or the green flag drops, they can reset and be able to retry. As soon as the green flag drops, though, if they wreck or lose control, that lap will be nullified and it will not count for them. They can continue to race or reset. The second lap will be a white flag lap, and that will end their time when they cross the start finish line with a checkered flag. If during those 2 laps they wreck at any time, their laps will not count and they will be moved to the back of the field. Our starting field has Jamie Mullins, Tyrone Yo, Tommy Osborne, Curtis Sovereign, Gregory Robinson, Brandon Barrier, Larry Stubblefield, James Nelson, Ben Campbell, and Colton Lanford running tonight. As you heard earlier, we will have stage breaks. The stage breaks will be at lap 29 to 30 and lap 59 to 60. At lap 28 and lap 58, the pit lane will be closed so that nobody can do a short caution or a short pit stop, come in, get fuel, get tires, all that, and get back out and still be able to run, so that they can be able to try and get stage points. The first place during the stage points will receive 15 additional points. Second place will receive 9 points. Third place 8, all the way down to 1 point. So everybody will get a stage point tonight because we only have 10 drivers. However, if other people come in at the last minute, which it doesn't look like we will have any additional drivers tonight because most people are working, then we will have a 15-9 to 1. So this is being brought to you by the Quick Finishers Racing League. I am Mark Mudslide Hollifield. I'll be your host for the next 100 laps here tonight at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in Indianapolis, Indiana. Yeah, Indiana. Sheesh, I forget. Hi, gorgeous. My wife just walked in. So, currently James Nelson is on top of the leaderboard, and Jamie Mullins just pushed him out of the way with a 53.53. Larry Stubblefield is second place with 53.62. James Nelson had a 53.85. We're watching the brakes lock up on Brendan Barrier. It might have blown his car up. There's Larry Stubblefield going for his second lap. The average lap time is 53.8, so we're looking at an average of 54 seconds to make the 2.5 mile lap per individual. The average pit stop should take roughly 32 seconds, going from the start of the pit lane, coming down pit road at 60 miles an hour, getting into the pit stall, receiving 4 sets of tires and a full tank of gas, and then getting out of pit road. But what adds extra time on is the quarter mile that they have to drive coming from the end of pit road to the end of turn 2. They cannot join back in the main traffic until they come out of turn 2. As all the qualifying is done, we're lining up with Larry Stubblefield in first place on the inside, Jamie Mullins to the right side, James Nelson on the inside, Colton Lamford on the outside, Ben Campbell on the inside, Brandon Barrier outside, Curtis Sobran inside, Tyrone Yo on the outside, Gregory Robinson on the inside, and Tommy Osborne on the outside. Let's do a quick go down and take a quick look at each of the drivers as their cars are being loaded in real quick. The lights are out on the pace car. They will do one parade lap. We have Jamie Mullins in the 66, Larry Stubblefield in the 82, followed by James Nelson in the 75, Colton Lamford in the 25. Oops, starting to blur out just a little bit. Let's go ahead and bring the camera down just a little bit so that it goes right up and over and comes back into focus. So we're waiting on everybody to grid up. The only one that hasn't gridded up right at the moment is Gregory Smokey Robinson in 9th spot. When he grids up, the pace car will take off, and they will do roughly a minute and a half around the track. We're waiting on Gregory Robinson to lock in his position. Gregory Robinson missed the start, so he is going to be in the pit road at the start-finish line. Let's see what happened with Gregory Robinson that caused him to miss the start of the race. Do not know. Oops. Let's go up and see what the flag bearer has to say. He will show us everybody, or show everybody the flags as the drivers come around turn 4. We have a very, very stacked crowd today. Looks like standing room only. All the drivers have their support and everybody has their very own fanfare. Now, when the green flag waves and the field goes past, Smokey Robinson will be allowed to join back into the field, but he will have to follow at pit speed. Here they come. And the green flag is waving. Away they go. There goes Smokey Robinson. He started his. It looks like Larry Stubblefield has been able to outmaneuver Jamie Mullins and get that lead. Going into turn 2, easy enough. All the cars are filling it out between themselves. They're trying to get into the draft line. Nelson drops in right behind Jamie Mullins. Ben Campbell is just to the outside of Colton Lamford. We're on lap 1 of 100. Larry Stubblefield has brought us around the first lap. It only took 59.93 seconds to lead everybody around. Oh, you see Curtis Sobran get a little bit squirrely coming out of 1. Now, as the day continues, the sun will start dropping, and that will put shadows on this course. And when the course starts, or when the road starts cooling off, it's going to be a lot more harder for these drivers to predict how the road's going to handle everything. These cars are using a different setup, so it's making them fishtail just a little bit coming out of every one of the corners. Because this is not this is an oval track, but it is in the shape of a rectangle. All these cars are going to handle a whole lot different coming out of the corners. Going into the corners, they will have to slow down, and coming out of the corners, they will have to handle the car a little bit different. We're watching as Colton Lampert just flies to the inside, trying to go around James Nelson. It looks like he was able to make the move around. Gregory Robinson has crashed. Let's go back and take a good look, see what happened, because he did not bring out the caution. Let's see what happened. He got into the green, winds up losing it in the backstretch, hits the inside right by the pit wall. He is out of the way of everybody else, but damage is done to his car, so he is down a lap already. Now this course is big enough to where if the cars lose control in the... Oh, there's the caution. The caution lap flag has been thrown. Of course, the caution lap was thrown because Greg Robinson had to be towed around the track. And it takes roughly 2.5 minutes for the tow truck to come get a car, no matter where they are on this track. So as long as the tow truck is out there, we will be under caution, which some of these drivers are going to be thankful for, because now they should be able to make it to stage 30 or to stage break without having to pit and get new tires. I failed to ask any of the drivers when we were talking to them earlier if they were going to do any pit stops to get or see what the wear and tear was on their tires. We saw Smokey Robinson and Brandon Barrier and Tyrone Yo go into the pits following Smokey Robinson. These gentlemen may be just going in to top off their fuel tanks and get some new fuel, or maybe they will get minor damage repair done. But usually these gentlemen will probably just be trying to get fuel so that they can make it to the stage break. The tires should not be worn that much with 5 laps, 3 of which were at full race speed. So it is Larry Stubblefield, Jamie Mullins, Colton Lampert, James Nelson, Ben Campbell, Curtis Sovereign, Tommy Osborne, Brandon Barrier, Tyrone Yo, and Gregory Robinson. The lights are out on the pace car. They're getting ready to line them up side by side. Except for Gregory Robinson, everybody else has made their way around the track. I believe Gregory Robinson will be out of the race. I'm not sure. Somebody was talking about only doing 1 lap. Larry Stubblefield takes off. He's got Colton Lampert right behind him, and Ben Campbell shoots to the inside going into turn 1. They stay lined up with Jamie Mullins right behind Ben Campbell. Side-by-side action between Campbell and Mullins. Going into turn 2, Campbell's on the inside. Mullins shoots to the outside, stays against the wall, keeping Campbell on the inside. Stubblefield and Lampert are doing their best to follow each other. Lampert is trying to use Stubblefield as a draft partner. Stubblefield was weaving back and forth. I guess he was trying to break the draft so that Lampert couldn't be able to hold on to him. We're watching as they come down the front stretch. Colton Lampert is only 0.3 seconds back behind Stubblefield. Watching as they go into turn 2, Stubblefield slowly pulling away now, 0.62 seconds ahead of Lampert. Lampert came out of the turn 2 sideways just a little bit. Mullins is trying to catch up and close the distance between Lampert and himself. Going into turn 3, you watch the cars as they dip just a little bit below the white line, trying to get their front tire onto that concrete so that they can be able to straighten those corners just a little bit better than the next person. All the excitement, we're 8 laps in. Nelson is now trying his best to close the distance between Curtis Sovereign and himself. Now we're watching Ben Campbell as he's trying to pull away from Tommy Osborne. Curtis Sovereign is trying to catch up, and he's sideways coming out of turn 2. Curtis Sovereign got a little bit loose there, and it cost him, allowing James Nelson to be able to go around him with ease. on the outside in the backstretch. Coming to the front stretch, we're looking at Tommy Osborne trying to close the gap between himself and Ben Campbell in the front stretch. There's roughly 1 car length distance between make that 2.5 car lengths distance now between Ben Campbell and Tommy Osborne. Tommy's able to stay closer to the inside, coming out of the corner. Ben Campbell gets a little swirly. Tommy Osborne takes that opportunity, shoots to the inside, and passes Ben Campbell. James Nelson is coming around and trying to catch up to Ben Campbell and make him his next victim. Ben Campbell's holding down as close to the inside as he can going into turn 3. Curtis Sovereign has lost a little bit of speed and he is drifting back. He's about 6 car lengths back behind James Nelson now. James Nelson is roughly 2.5 car lengths back as they come into the front stretch behind Ben Campbell. Going into turn 3, Ben Campbell's right up on the bumper of Tommy Osborne. James Nelson's on the inside. Ben Campbell is trying his best to get back that little bit of area that he did have with Tommy Osborne. We're looking inside of Crutchfield Nation. You don't see Curtis Sovereign. He shoots to the inside of Ben Campbell, breaking the draft just a little bit. Ben hits the brakes. That gives Crutchfield the chance to be able to go to the inside. However, Crutchfield had to slow down for Ben Campbell. Ben cuts off the nose just a little bit. Coming through the front stretch, we're looking at nothing but the rear end of that Shelby Cobra of Ben Campbell. Let's see how they work it out. Looking at Ben Campbell, you see the Superman emblem in the rear view mirror and in the side view. Curtis Sovereign is breaking up just a little bit, but now James Nelson is on the inside, and Campbell lets Nelson around, but shuts the door in front of Curtis Sovereign. So now the front door is closed. All we see is field fillers and QFRL on the back of Nelson's car, and in the rear view, you see what looks like a smiling Camry behind him. Curtis Sovereign is trying his best to get around Ben Campbell. Looking at Curtis, Curtis loses a little bit of control and shoots to the inside, going on the front stretch. That broke the draft. He goes deep into the corner, staying just outside. He slides up almost to the outside wall coming out of turns 1. He shoots to the inside going into turn 2. Campbell, excuse me, Campbell's able to use that and just pull away from Curtis Sovereign. The action's still there with James Nelson and Ben Campbell. Campbell's got the left sides below the white line. He is short tracking it as much as he can, straightening out the track. It's going to cost him, though, just a little bit because he's getting swirly coming out of turn 4, going through the front stretch. The distance is expanding between Campbell and Nelson. Nelson is doing his best to close the gap. Oh, and we watch Campbell lose it coming out of 1 just a little bit, but he maintains control. It put a little bit more distance between Campbell and Nelson, and it closed the distance between Campbell and Sovereign. We're now looking at Colton Nation, at Lamford Nation, and he's trying his best to get back up there and close the gap between Stubblefield, but Mullins is right behind him. Oh, Campbell has lost a lot of momentum because Sovereign is now closing the gap. He is now 2 car lengths back behind Campbell. Sovereign is looking to shoot to the inside. Oh, he gets his nose cut just as Campbell slammed the door going into turn 1. We're looking now at Jamie Mullins trying to close the distance between Lamford and himself. There's roughly 3 car lengths distance between the two. The distance between Lamford and Stubblefield has increased to 1.96 seconds. However, the distance between Mullins and Lamford is only 0.5, 0.4, 0.45 seconds now. Coming out of turn 1, going into turn 2, Lamford gets a little bit loose and swirly. Mullins is right there trying to capitalize. Lamford stays close to the outside. Mullins uses the inside and stays with a direct line to the outside wall. No contact with the wall, but it is 2 car lengths back now. Lamford is trying his best to maintain control and keep ahead of Mullins as best as he can. Lamford is doing everything but throw a parachute back there to Mullins right now. Larry Stubblefield is just walking away from the rest of the field. We're at lap 16 of 100. We have 1 car out of the race. 2 cars are now out of the race. Brandon Barrier and Smokey Robinson are both out of the race. So of the 10 drivers, we're watching Curtis Sovereign try to go to the inside of Ben Campbell. Colton Lamford is running his best and trying his best to get away from Jamie Mullins, but Mullins is doing everything he can to put an anchor on Lamford. Tommy Osborne is 2.5 seconds back from Colton Lampert right now. Colton Lampert is using his tires up just a little bit. He's running mid to high. He's letting Jamie Mullins shoot to the outside. There must be something wrong with that car, or he's realized he's drove the tires off of his car. So Jamie Mullins is able to bypass Colton Lampert. Now he's trying to run down Larry Stubblefield, who has a 4-second gap on Colton Lampert. Lampert gets a little bit swirly coming out of the corners. His tire wear is got to be done. At lap 17, he allowed Jamie Mullins to go around him. Now we're watching Tommy Osborne as he's trying to close the distance on Lampert, with James Nelson right behind him trying to knock the door down. Coming out of 2, you see Lampert get a little bit squirrely. Tommy Osborne is keeping his car in a straight, orderly line. James Nelson's trying to get into the draft and help push so that they can be able to catch Colton Lampert and get him out of the way. Going through turns 3, Tommy Osborne is still maintaining easy control of that car like he's just out for a Sunday drive. James Nelson is right there behind him, roughly 4 car lengths back, possibly 6. Going into the front stretch, it looks like Tommy Osborne just put some distance on himself between himself and James Nelson, because Nelson, for some reason, dropped to about 8.8 seconds back, which is 8 car lengths back behind Tommy Osborne. Ben Campbell is roughly 8 seconds behind Tommy Osborne. So the standings is Larry Stubblefield, Jamie Mullins, Colton Lampert, Tommy Osborne, and James Nelson in the top 5. Then roughly 9 seconds back from the leader is Ben Campbell, Curtis Sovereign, Tyrone Yo. They round up all the drivers that are in the top 8. Tyrone Yo is in the... Whoa. I'm sorry. For a second it was showing me Tyrone Yo entering the pit. We're watching Jamie Mullins and Colton Lampert fight it out for second place. Colton Lampert is right up on that bumper. We'll take a look inside Jamie Mullins' car and see what he sees in the rearview mirror. There's nothing ahead of him. The field is open. There's a little bit of damage to the tear-off from where road grime has. You can see Larry Stubblefield entering turn 1 as Jamie Mullins is coming out of turn 4. In the rearview mirror, you see Colton Lampert playing peekaboo in the side view mirror and in the rearview mirror. As we look at Colton Lampert, all you see is the Screaming Eagle on the back of that Jamie Mullins vehicle, the number 66, and Tommy Osborne playing peekaboo in his side view mirror and rear view mirror. Tommy is looking to go to the outside. Will he have enough momentum to do it? We're looking at Tommy Osborne, and he has the momentum. He undercuts Lampert, and now he takes over 3rd place. He's got Jamie Mullins in his sights, and he's trying to make that Screaming Eagle get as big as possible coming into the front stretch with 21 laps left of the race, or 22 laps in this race already knocked out. Going into turns 1, you hear the tire swelling just a little bit inside Tommy Osborne's vehicle as he's using throttle control. There is no brake on this vehicle. It is throttle control that they are using to be able to maintain control of the vehicle. Colton Lampert doesn't have anybody behind him for a minute because James Nelson is roughly 1 second back behind him. James Nelson is several car lengths, roughly 12 car lengths back from Colton Lampert. And behind him is Ben Campbell, who is too far back. Ben Campbell has Curtis Sovereign in his rear view, but Curtis is still roughly, let me see, where we at? Curtis is 18 car lengths back. All right, let's get back to the excitement and to the TV cameras. Jamie Mullins has Tommy Osborne. We saw Colton Lampert get a little swirly there coming out of the turn. Jamie Mullins is trying his best to break the draft as he goes into turn 3. Tommy Osborne was following him. Colton Lampert is staying to the mid-high, going into the corners. That's given James Nelson the opportunity to catch up to Colton Nation. I know it's Lampert Nation, but he is doing everything he can to catch up to Tommy Osborne. Tommy is trying his best to catch Jamie Mullins. Larry Stubblefield is so far ahead, he could probably hit the pits right now, go get a pizza, and come back and still get out on the track before the rest of them come around. The top from 2 through 5 are running together. The top driver is all by himself, just having a field day on a Sunday drive. 5 and 6, or 6 and 7 are together, and Tyrone Yo is nowhere to be seen. We have 2 cars, Brandon Barrier and Gregory Robinson, out of the race. Out of the 10 cars racing tonight. We're watching Tommy Osborne trying to close the distance with here on lap 25. At lap 28, the pits will be closed because on lap 29 to 30, the green light checker will be thrown, which will be for us a cautionary flag, which will come out on lap 31. Watching Tommy Osborne get a little bit squirrely there, folks. These cars, depending on how much tire wear is done to them, the outside tires could be getting balder because all the weight is being pushed to the outside. There is barely any banking on this track. Not enough to substitute the weight of the car being forced to the outside of the track. You're watching Tommy Osborne try and close the distance on Jamie Mullins. Colton Lamford is trying to close the distance on the Tommy Osborne, and James Babyface Nelson is trying to close the distance on Colton Lamford. The distance between Tommy Osborne and Colton Lamford is 14 cars right now. Tommy's using that throttle control as you see the sparks and the fire shoot out. Oh, Tommy got a little bit sideways coming out of 4 in the front stretch. That may cost him that little bit of a lead he had or was gaining on Jamie Mullins. He got sideways and Jamie's able to maintain control. Tommy was not able to get back into the throttle the way he wanted to, so Jamie Mullins is now pulling away. Jamie has a 0.72 second lead over Tommy Osborne. Coming into 3, we watch as Tommy Osborne shoots below the white line, runs across the concrete just a little bit, trying to close the distance and shorten the track as much as possible. Coming out of 4, he maintains control of it this time, did not get squirrely. The gap between Jamie Mullins and Larry Stubblefield is 7.25 seconds, folks. That's literally the length of the straightaway. Larry Stubblefield is able to go into a corner when, on the backstretch, when the guys are coming out of the front stretch. James Nelson's able to work his way around Colton Lamford going into coming out of turn 2, going into turn 3 down the backstretch. Lamford is trying his best to catch up to Nelson. The pits are closed, folks. The pits are closed. We're 2 laps away. This is going to restack the field on lap 30. The caution flag should be thrown on lap 31, as Larry Stubblefield should be crossing the start-finish line to end the stage. Everybody is fighting for that stage point position. Larry Stubblefield has the 15 points locked up unless he wrecks, which I'm pretty sure everybody in the field is hoping he does. I don't wish any harm upon anybody on this track. I want to see everybody out there racing and having a good time. The caution lap has been thrown. It will be Larry Stubblefield taking home 15 points. Jamie Mullins taking home 9. Tommy Osborne with 8. James Nelson, 7. Colton Lamford, 6. Ben Campbell, 5. Wait, 15, 9, 8, 7, 6. Yep, Ben Campbell, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Ben Campbell will have 5 points. Curtis Sovereign will have 4 points. Tyrone Yo will have 3 points. Brandon Barrier will have 2 points. And Greg Robinson will get 1 point. It has been a fun-filled night so far. Jamie Mullins. Nine points. I'm updating the roster right now. We're going to watch some of these drivers start into the pit road here shortly as they catch up to the pace car. Jamie Mullins, Tommy Osborne. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we saw these gentlemen just coming in. They're getting on that start-finish line as fast and as far away as they can. They are doing everything that they can to get out of the pit road. Larry Stubblefield's easily made it out of the pits. James Nelson's able to take over second place. Tommy Osborne's in third place. Tommy's in third. Colton's in fourth. Ben Campbell's in fifth place. Jane Mullins drops 4 positions to 6th place. Tyrone Yo's off in 7th place. And Curtis SUV Sovereign is still in the pits. I don't know what happened. Curtis is having some issues, it looks like. He's got to come out of the pit and get a new set of tires or get caught up to the rest of the field, or he's going to go a lap down. Let's go check it out, see what happened. I believe he overshot his pit stop, if that's what I think happened. Let's go take a look. Oh, he might have been slapped, but no. Curtis Sovereign's entering the pit. He might not have got down to pit road speed limit in time. I don't know. It doesn't look like he's getting a speeding fine. All right. I don't see what happened, folks. We're going back live. Curtis is trying his best to catch around to the rest of the field. The lights are out on the pace car as they go into turn 3. The lineup is Larry Stubblefield on the inside, James Nelson to the outside, Tommy Osborne the inside, Colton Lamford outside, Ben Campbell to the inside, Jamie Mullins outside, Tyrone Yo inside. Curtis SUV Sovereign is speeding up. He might be trying to do a Kyle Busch and get to maximum speed on the backstretch. Nope, there's Curtis Sovereign. He is having to slow down, so they're coming through the restart zone, and away they go. Larry Stubblefield pushes to the outside just a little bit so he can enter the corner. He runs the corner low. James Nelson is right behind him. Tommy Osborne right behind Nelson. Colton Lamford right behind Tommy Osborne. That's where all the new tires are going to come into play. All these guys are going to do everything they can to keep Larry Stubblefield right there with him, but Stubblefield is able to just start pulling away because they're fighting amongst each other as James Nelson moves to the end. No, Tommy Osborne moves to the inside and pushes Nelson to the outside. Colton Lamford stays on the inside, pushing Nelson back. Nelson is losing spots as we speak. Tommy Osborne is our biggest mover and shaker as he has moved up 8 spots to second place. 3 wide going into turn 1. Ben Campbell's on the outside wall. He is wall riding it, folks. You know his car did not like that at all, as he was the outside recipient of the 3 wide. Going through the backstretch, we're watching as Nelson is trying to close the lead. Tommy Osborne's right on Stubblefield. Nelson is trying his best to drive that car as fast and as far as he can. Jamie Mullins is right behind Nelson, and they are slowly closing the gap just a little bit to catch up to Tommy Osborne and James Stubblefield. As they come through the front stretch, it looks like everybody has made it around. Ben Campbell's a little bit slower than he wants to be, but that's because the car rubbed the entire right side against the outside wall. Nelson is doing his best to use Mullins to help push him and close the distance between Osborne and himself. Nelson is 0.36 seconds back behind Tommy Osborne. We're on lap 36 of 100. At lap 58, we will shut down pit road again unless caution comes out between lap 50 and 55. All the cars are just running around. Larry Stubblefield has got his foot to the metal, and he is going as fast as he can. Tommy Osborne is using Nelson to push him around the track. Nelson is peeking his head around the corner just a little bit on the outside around Tommy Osborne. He's closed the distance on Osborne. He may be overdriving just a little bit. Coming out of turn 3, going into turn 4, you see Nelson slides just a little bit up the track. Nelson and Osborne are trying to catch and close the distance onto Stubblefield. Stubblefield is basically just cutting the air for Tommy Osborne. Tommy is feeling good about where he's at right now in the catbird seat. We watched Colton Lamford get a little squirrely coming out of turn 2. Going down the backstretch, Tommy Osborne and James Nelson are trying to go to the inside. They may be able to hold on to it. Nelson gets a little bit loose going into turn 3, coming out of 3 into 4. It looks like Tommy Osborne has no issues with his car. He's liking the way it's handling. You see all the cars line up. Larry Stubblefield is trying to break that draft that they have on him right now. That's why he was weaving back and forth in the front stretch. He's trying to break the draft because he knows that if he can break that draft, he will be able to start pulling away from the rest of the field. And he's working it. He's put a 0.4 seconds on himself and Tommy Osborne. But James Nelson and Tommy Osborne are trying to close that distance again, going along the back stretch. Into turn 3, Tommy Osborne just staying right behind Larry Stubblefield and using him to slice the wind and close the gap up on him. Coming out of 4 into the front stretch, let's see what happens. Will Larry Stubblefield try and shake that draft again? Nelson cuts just a little bit to the outside wall. Tommy is pushed to the outside just a little bit, but Nelson's not able to take advantage as he tried to go to the inside. Going into turn 2, Tommy is staying low and shoots to the outside wall. Nelson is trying. Oh, it might have touched. Nelson is right behind Osborne. You literally could not put a hand between the two. Now, Nelson shoots to the outside a little bit too. He overdrove that corner going into 3 too hard. Tommy, just maintaining control, is still closing the distance between himself and Stubblefield. He is using the gap. Mullins is pushing Nelson with Lampert pushing Mullins, and they are trying to close the gap on the 2 leaders of Tommy Osborne and Larry Stubblefield. The top 5 is Larry Stubblefield, Tommy Osborne, James Nelson, Jamie Mullins, and Colton Lampert. Ben Campbell, Curtis Sovereign, and Tyrone Yo round out your field. Nelson is trying to close the gap. Mullins is using Colton Lampert to be able to draft. He shoots to the inside, but Nelson was this time able to go to the inside and outside, shutting the door on Mullins. He's trying to close the gap between himself and Tommy Osborne. Tommy Osborne is taking his time on lap 41, just riding it out because he knows he cannot win the race in this next couple of laps. He can win it at the finish line. The top 5 of this race have stayed within a couple of car lengths of each other. Larry Stubblefield has not been able to just walk away from everybody else because Tommy Osborne is staying right behind him. And James Nelson is literally right behind Tommy Osborne. Tommy shoots to the inside. Going into 3, Nelson is right there behind him, following him into turn 3, closing the distance between Osborne and Stubblefield. As they come out of turn 4, Osborne gets a little loose. Nelson shoots to the inside. He's trying to do a slingshot to get around Osborne. Will it work, folks? In the front stretch, Nelson's on the inside, Osborne's on the outside. It pushes him up the track. Osborne is having to fight it out with Nelson. Stubblefield is staying there with him. He shoots to the inside, and Osborne gets slingshotted around by Nelson. Nelson is trying his best to get down the back stretch and catch up to Stubblefield. With the break in the draft, Stubblefield now has nobody holding him back, and he may be able to walk away from the rest of the field because they were battling it out. Osborne is now losing spots because of the fact that the draft was broke. Larry Stubblefield shoots to the inside. He's trying to maintain and break away the draft. He shoots back up in front of Nelson, goes to the inside of turn 1. Nelson slightly through the midsection of the turn of turn 1. Coming into turn 2, Nelson's able to stay low and drifts to the high line. Mullins is right behind Osborne. Stubblefield is breaking the draft and trying his best to pull away from the rest of the field. He is pulling the distance because Nelson is not able to catch up to him. With 3 cars working together, they still are not able to catch up to Stubblefield. Stubblefield has figured out how to break the draft, and because he's broke that draft, he is in open air all by himself. The next car back is Nelson, who is roughly 0.7 seconds back. Nelson is trying his best to stay low. He's in the mid to low line. Osborne and Mullins are working together to close the distance on Nelson. Lampert Nation is right there behind as well. Lampert is trying his best to get back up there to Mullins' bumper. But Mullins and Osborne are pulling away because they're using Nelson to their advantage. And Nelson is actually being pulled backwards away from Stubblefield. Stubblefield is slowly just walking away. As they come into the front stretch, you've seen Mullins get a little bit squirrely. Now everybody is trying to follow Larry Stubblefield. Stubblefield plays that back and forth weave. Going into turn 1, he's able to shoot low. He's broke the distance between himself and Nelson, and he's slowly gaining a 0.1 second lead every time he breaks that draft. Now the gap is 1.5 seconds between Larry Stubblefield and Tommy Osborne, who's in third place. James Nelson is 0.3 seconds in front of Tommy Osborne. That is 3-4 car lengths distance. Jamie Mullins, because he got squarely, has been walked away from by Tommy Osborne. Tommy is closing that distance on Nelson in the front stretch. This time Larry Stubblefield did not try and break the draft, coming straight down the front stretch. We're at lap 47 of 100, folks. We're watching as James Nelson is trying to close the distance with Tommy Osborne right behind him, doing his best to close the distance on Larry Stubblefield, who has pulled away and is at 0.76 seconds ahead of James Nelson. Woo. Larry Stubblefield is 0.67 seconds ahead of James Nelson. Yeesh. Coming on to lap 48, Stubblefield shoots to the inside like he's going to the pits, but Nelson followed him, trying to stay in the draft. Osborne shoots to the inside, goes around Nelson. Going into turn one, he's able to shut the door and push Nelson to the outside. Nelson is staying right on Tommy Osborne's bumper. Tommy is trying to close that gap between himself and Larry Stubblefield, and James Nelson loses control but maintains speed, loses speed, lost control, and now Mullins and Lampert are able to shoot around Nelson coming out of 2. Let's go back and take a quick look at that one as Nelson was unable to maintain control for just a second. We'll go back and watch as Tommy Osborne passes Nelson in the front stretch. Then we'll watch Nelson as he comes out of corner 2 and loses control just a little bit. As he comes out of the corner, he just overpowers it just a little bit, and that cost him 2 positions, as everybody else is able to drive around him like he was sitting still. Tommy Osborne, or Colton Lampert, was able to pass James Nelson for position 4. Colton Lampert is now trying to close the gap between himself and Mullins to catch up to Tommy Osborne. Osborne's right behind Larry Stubblefield. Jamie Mullins is trying his best to use the 2 behind him to help push him to catch the 2 in front of him. The gap is slowly getting bigger between Colton Lampert and Jamie Mullins in the backstretch. You know that James Nelson has got to be cussing himself right now, because he cost himself 3 positions going into turn 1 from the front stretch. So he overdrove it coming out of 2, trying to catch up to Tommy Osborne, and it cost him 2 more positions. Colton Lampert is trying his best to catch up to Jamie Mullins so that he can take over 3rd place. We're at 50 laps left of the race. At lap 58, which will be 42 to go, the pits will be closed, and at lap 60 or 40 laps, the caution will come out, and we will have the caution for the pit road, and the field will be restacked, folks. Right now, Larry Stubblefield is just pulling away. Tommy Osborne's on his Sunday drive trying to follow Larry and keep up with him. Jamie Mullins is trying to close the distance between himself and Tommy Osborne. Colton Lampert is trying to catch up to Jamie Mullins. Larry Stubblefield is doing his best to just keep the walking and keep everybody behind him. At the end of this stage break, it'll be 15 points to the stage winner, 9 points to 2nd place, 8 to 3rd, and so on and so forth to each of the drivers to 1 point. So it'll be 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So far, we have two individuals out of the race. Brandon Barrier and Gregory Robinson have been removed from the race. I don't know what happened with Brandon, but I believe Gregory Robinson was just here to run a lap or two. As it is, Ben Campbell has passed Curtis SUV Sovereign for position 6. Tyrone Yo is rounding out the field in position 8. This has been a pretty easy race so far, with only one caution being thrown for Gregory Robinson in the beginning of the race. Tommy Osborne is trying to close that distance on to Larry Stubblefield going into turn 3. Tommy is able to maintain control. A few of the cars are starting to get squirrely as they come out of the corners. You see Lamford Nation, he's on the inside a little bit too much. The draft is between Stubblefield, Osborne, and Mullins, but nobody's able to capitalize and close the gap between the three. Lamford Nation is roughly 25 cars back from the car in front of him. Tommy Osborne is 9 cars behind Larry Stubblefield, Lamford Nation. Ooh, sorry, Larry. I didn't mean to insult you by calling you Colton. You see Tommy Osborne overdrive corner 3. He went into it a little bit too fast, and it almost cost him there. 47 laps to go, folks. With 46 laps left to go, there's 2 more laps and then the pits will be closed. Jamie Mullins is able to capitalize on Tommy Osborne's little mistake, and he's closing the distance now. Tommy is trying his best to get up there. He's going to use Jamie Mullins, and they are going to try their best to close the distance on Larry Stubblefield. Larry has been able to walk away. He's 1.79 seconds ahead, now 1.8 seconds ahead of Tommy Osborne. The front stretches where all I've made it back just in time to watch the race restart, and here we go. Larry Stubblefield is on his way to winning this thing as long as he doesn't screw up. Tommy Osborne and James Nelson are side by side going into turn 2. Ben Campbell gets loose. Will he collect anybody else? The caution was thrown as Ben Campbell came back around and crashed out. Let's go back and take a look at Campbell and see what happened. Those brand new tires, they are not as warmed up or anything. Campbell overdrives it, gets squirrely, comes around 360, goes into the grass, locks him up, and oh, he's able to save it, not take anybody else out with it. It's easy enough. Larry Stubblefield has got James Nelson right behind him, followed by Colton Lamford, Tommy Osborne's Curtis Sovereign. The first three vehicles line up. The next three are right behind each other. Colton Lamford gets shoved to the outside because he overdrove it going into turn 3, coming into turn 4. Everybody stays low, lined up, one right after the other. Tyrone Yo is losing speed on the rest of the drivers. He's hoping that they will decide to drive and wreck themselves. Tyrone Yo is taking his time, just here to be around for the race. We're watching as Tommy Osborne tries his best to get from 4th place back up to 1st or 2nd. Ben Campbell and Curtis Sovereign are side by side. Ben Campbell loses it in turn